You said I was psychotic and you dosed me up with meds. What was happening in my head wasn't there in normal heads. You said that hearing voices meant I clearly wasn't sane, and the things I saw were products of a sick, disordered brain. I wish it had occurred to you, instead of calling lunacy, to ask what I experienced, embrace the opportunity to gaze across the border and begin to hear the language of the fascinating territory that lay beyond my anguish. But it's easy to pass judgment when you've never travelled farther than your comfortable parameters. It makes sense that you'd rather condemn as schizophrenic, disordered, or psychotic experiences that could be seen as dreadful but exotic excursions into other worlds as real and true and valid as the one that you inhabit, which to me seems dull and pallid when compared to those bright kingdoms of exaggerated hue, of surreal, fantastic landscapes, and of concepts vast and new. You can't possibly imagine, if you've never rested there, the life-expanding richness of the feast laid out to share in the worlds beyond the one that you would call reality, the worlds that reach invitingly to dissidents like me. There are terrifying demons, and the burning fires of hell offer unrelenting torment. But do you know what's there as well? There's philosophy and science, metaphysics that extend far beyond the stuff of experts in the real world. There's no end to the wisdom, to the pure and unadulterated truth that's accessible when ego's grip is loosened like a tooth, pulled from an abscessed mouth, leaving a wound that gapes and bleeds, but in which the source of healing is already sowing seeds. What if, instead of judging and a need for diagnosis, you opt for curiosity, a gradual osmosis that can teach you more about the worlds beyond the one you claim to be the true reality? What if you change the game to one in which you listen and nurture a belief that the people who inhabit other worlds might hold a leaf from the book of a reality through which you could acquire richness beyond the peak of intellectual desire? What if then, when I wept that medication may be fine for a lot of people's psyches, but was dangerous for mine, you had realized, though chaotic, that my torment held a key to my future liberation and could help to set me free? If you'd listened with compassion and had finally conceded that perhaps I held some insight into what it was I needed, your respectful validation could have gradually created a relationship whose benefits cannot be calculated. Now it's half a life since I was there. I'm quite reintegrated. 3 decades back in this world have, to some lengths, reinstated a footing of normality, a sense that I belong. But if you think I don't miss madness, well, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. I'd never choose to go back there. The pain can't be recounted. But the glorious liberation from my human bonds accounted for a bliss I also can't describe. Vocabulary fails to approach the depth of meaning such an odyssey entails. Perhaps if you had asked me when I dwelt in that epitome of agony and ecstasy, you would have found the bit of me that formed a bridge between the worlds. I could have passed to you some of the dazzling treasure that could offer you a clue to the meaning in psychosis. Because when I ventured back, I found I couldn't bring it with me through the quickly sealing crack between the worlds. And that has been the greatest sacrifice in a life that's seen a few of those. You'll never know the price paid by returners to this world. You have to make it worth it. Offer a new incentive and then hold them as they birth it on their own terms and listen and really want to hear. It's a win-win situation that could help erase the fear and the dangerous inequality that is the status quo between experts by experience and those who claim to know from the lofty heights of theory and revered qualifications that the answers to our problems lie in wards and medications, so we can no longer travel across boundaries of the mind. You don't realize that maybe that's the only way we'll find our way back home, to gradually be ready to embrace a life in this reality, to finally take our place with a wondrous new perspective that we'd really like to share. If you'll listen without judgment, maybe we'll transport you there, and we'll all support each other in a hybrid world that, thus, holds the sum of all perspectives, substituting them with us. That's the world of co-production, and it's well within our reach if we recognize that we all need to learn as well as teach. And then we can learn together, and the sum of all our parts will ignite a fire of empathy to bridge divided hearts.